What's up guys, Justin here, and today I've got the review of the HTC One. HTC has really come out this year with something very interesting and something that many people have not seen before. It is really their last hope to prove themselves to be the top of the mobile market, and I really think that they have done that. The first thing you may have noticed about this phone is the design. It is something that we haven't seen much on the mobile market and something that we've of course never seen from HTC before. It features a full aluminum design, and the construction and build quality of this phone is just amazing. It's probably one of the best for the premium smartphone line out there, and you can see that the back is very nicely crafted, and HTC claims that about 200 minutes is spent on each individual phone. On the bottom, you've got your HTC logo, which is not functional, and the home button and back switch. Some people may find it kind of odd that it doesn't have the menu button, and I kind of would have liked the HTC button to be the home button and have a menu and back switch on this phone. But overall, after a few days of use, you definitely get used to it. On the back, you've got the nice design with the aluminum finish and the edges for the signal reception, and overall the phone just feels so great, especially every day in the morning when you want to pick it up. And it has a nice cool aluminum feel to it. It has a very premium feel to it as well, a lot comparable to the iPhone 5, and there you've just got your Beats audio branding and also the micro USB port for sync and charge. So in terms of the design and build quality, I think HTC probably made this a selling point of this phone, and it really separated it from other phones out there. On the top, you've got your headphone jack as well as your power button that also has an IR blaster built in, and although some people may find it kind of strange as the power button is located on the top for such a big phone, it is overall very easy to access. You've also got your recessed volume buttons on the side, which I found were sometimes a little bit hard to access, but it just gives it a really seamless design, which is probably why HTC did that. The display on the HTC One is a 1920 by 1080 resolution Full HD 4.7-inch display, equating into a 463 ppi pixel density. The color representation is just great. The colors are overall really accurate, and it really isn't oversaturated, and the text and everything just pops out with the screen density. As you can see this image here, all the details are very visible and the colors just look very accurate. You may have seen some other phones like the Samsung Galaxy S4 where the colors just really pop out because of the oversaturation, but for those looking for a very accurate color representation, the HTC One definitely does a very good job in that. So I'm going to say in terms of pure accuracy and color representation of real life images, the HTC One probably does the best job. The software on this phone is rather unique. I found it out of the box to be very fresh, simple, and welcoming, very clean interface, and for those who are looking for a very featured-packed phone, you might want to look at another direction. So as you may expect, the phone is very snappy, and just going into the app drawer, it has a really cool interface. On the top, you've got your clock, and it is something that I haven't really seen on other Android phones out there in terms of the app drawer. You can also customize it a little bit with the sorting, the search, which is something that I wish was on every Android phone, and going back, you've also got the settings to hide manage apps and grid, and you've also got quick access to the Google Play Store, which is really great. So you could very easily access the Google Play Store and download some more apps. For the notification bar, it is rather simple. I kind of wish that there was a quick toggle settings, although you could download plugins for that. It would have been nice to see it come with the phone. And the notification bar is very simple, but like I said, it is very clean, which is probably the scheme of this phone. When it comes to adding apps and widgets to your home screen, HTC has made it very easy as well. It is just what you may expect, and you can add different panels, and out of the box, Blink Feed is actually the home screen, which I know a lot of people may not like. So all you need to do is go into these settings and adjust the home screen that you want to be. So there I've got that set as the home screen, and it's rather simple. There really isn't much to it, and it's pretty much the same on every phone in terms of adding apps and shortcuts to the home screen. And here's just Blink Feed, which is kind of like a flipboard on your home page. A lot of people may have wished that you may be able to remove this, but in my opinion it feels pretty snappy, but I'd probably rather use Flipboard instead of this. But for a lot of people out there, you may like to have the news right in front of you every time you turn your phone on, so Blink Feed is great to have. When it comes to the keyboard, although a lot of times people may leave these out in the reviews, one thing I really liked about the HTC One was the default keyboard. The text prediction was overall very accurate, and the typing experience was very good. I managed to type pretty fast on this phone, so that's one thing to note. One of the things that we're seeing coming onto more phones now is the TV application. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, there is an IR blaster built in to the top of the phone. With the application itself really isn't that great, but it still gets the job done. And for a lot of people, I'm sure you would appreciate to be able to control your TV completely from your smartphone. The pairing is very, very fast. The settings are very easy to access, and the overall setup only takes a few minutes. So to conclude, I have to say the software is for people who want a very minimalist, simple, and clean interface. But if you're looking for a featured-packed phone, you might want to look elsewhere. The HTC One, as a flagship phone, you may expect it to pack quite a bit of power. It has a Qualcomm SnapDragon 600 processor clocked in at 1.73 GHz and 1.53 GB of memory. It also runs Android 4.1.2, but you should expect to see an update coming up soon. When it comes to the Geekbench score, it came out with a pretty good score of 2,729, so it's pretty fair to say that this phone is rather powerful, and through everyday uses I had no problems with it, and it didn't really notice anywhere where it was slow or anything, so this phone functions very well. As for the Antutu benchmark, it also came out with an impressive score of 23,674. So now onto the camera. One of the biggest talks about this phone was the UltraPixel camera. So instead of going for a higher megapixel count, HTC went for a 4 UltraPixel camera, which is said to be larger pixels to be able to capture more light and give you an impressive low light performance while capturing all the details. From what you could see in the pictures, it definitely does a very good job. You'll notice that all the details are still there, the colors overall look pretty good, and the low light performance is something to note, which I'm going to show you later in the slideshow. It overall captures the details very, very nicely, but as you start to crop in the image, you will notice distortion right away, which is one disadvantage of a 4 megapixel camera. You can see that all these shots look amazing, and I'm overall very happy with the camera on the HTC One. One of the best things about the UltraPixel camera is the low light performance. You'll notice here that in a room that pretty much had no lighting with the flash on, it works very well together and it captures all the details of the piano as you can see, and if you saw a comparison between the Samsung Galaxy S4, the HTC One definitely completely blew it out of the water when it came to low light performance. When it came to the front-facing camera, however, I was quite disappointed. I thought that the wide-angle lens would do a very good job in terms of taking front-facing images, but you will notice even in a room that is pretty well lit, there's a whole bunch of grain everywhere, and I guess it still gets the job done, but compared to other, it is quite disappointing. Another one of the best features on the HTC One is the Boom Sound stereo speakers. Finally, a company that has put the speakers on the front, so when you're listening to music and everything, it sounds very, very good, and it's definitely the best out there. The battery in the HTC One is 2,300 milliamp hours, and from my experience, I barely got through a whole day, if not dying just before the day ends, so I'm not exactly happy with the battery life, but it really isn't terrible. There is also the power saving mode, which pretty much clocks down the processor a little bit. From benchmark scores, that's what it kind of indicated, and it just kind of tries to save power where it can. So now onto my final thoughts of the HTC One. There are just so many things to love about this phone, from the camera, the boom sound speakers, the full metal construction, and the very simple and clean interface to go with it. Although it isn't a perfect phone, there are so many things to like about this phone that it definitely makes it a big competitor in the mobile market. And I think HTC has made a huge transition into making this phone and bringing out something that we haven't seen from them before, and is very well maybe one of the top smartphones by the end of this year. Overall, I have a very good experience with the HTC One. Though there are a few things missing in the software, some major features, a lot of the issues that I found with this phone are within the software, but in terms of the hardware and everything, this phone is probably one of the best out there. To conclude, I'll definitely miss this phone when I have to send it back. Big thanks to HTC for sending us out for reviewing purposes. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below, and be sure to hit that like button as I definitely appreciate that, and I'll see you all in my next video.